PhD in digital modelling of buildings and has worked on the MBS product range since 1999. He has a particular interest in building information modelling and is one of those leading the work at NBS to change specification data from words on a page to intelligent objects describing the building. Over to you, Stephen.
Okay. Hello everybody, welcome to the final Think BIM event of 2012. So welcome everybody. First up today is John Arell. John is Design Director at DLA Design Group. He's had over 20 years experience working on big projects such as Brewery Wharf in Leeds and health and safety labs in Buxton. John's also a part-time lecturer here at Leeds Met University. He's RIBA Regional Chair for the Yorkshire region, and he's part of the core review group for the changes to the RIBA plan of work, which will come into effect in 2013. And that is the topic of John's talk today. So please welcome John to the stage to talk about the RIBA plan of work. John.
Right, thanks for that, Steve. Good afternoon, everybody. I think my key role here today is that I'll put the glasses on so I can see what I'm doing. Talk about the work we've done, the BIM overlay, etc. I think I've got these documents in the right order, pretty much. The quote there comes from Low Carbon Construction. BIM, a shared knowledge resource for information about a project that forms a reliable basis for decision-making during its life cycle from inception onwards. And then, of course, we have BIM task group following on from that, and BIM construction strategy. Excuse me. And we all know the mandates involved there. So, the RIBA, we've been thinking about a plan, and I quite like this one. This is Eva Jeritner's plan of work. I think perhaps if we added a couple more loops around the who knows and the even more lost area, it might be quite a good plan. But actually, way back in the 60s, we have this. This is the original from the RIBA archive, dated October 1963. And it's really quite interesting. We do actually, we're all used to A to L at the moment, but we do actually have part M, which is feedback and so on. So it's interesting we're talking about soft landings, Visual's paper. So in August 2011, this was the group that was set up. So we're in the sort of yellowy square in the middle there. We're getting a lot of advice and help from private sector, client support, professional support, liability. We're engaging with external industry groups such as CIC, BIS and the Cabinet Office, and whatever we do has to go through the RIBA Practice and Profession Committee and usually ends up being endorsed by the Council. This is what we've produced so far, which I hope some of you will have seen, which is the BIM overlay to the outline plan of work. It's chaired by Dale Sinclair, and this is available if you go to the website there, RIBA Bookshops, it's a free download. It does include some good background information to BIM, definitions and so on, and also starts to talk about the challenges ahead in the industry. These are the main pages, so what you have there in a rather garish purple, because we've run out of colours I think, are the description of key tasks and the core BIM activities. And it's quite interesting that while we're doing this work, we start to see that actually the core BIM activities start to group themselves in perhaps a more defined way than the existing plan. The other area that RIBA is looking at is integrated procurement team models, particularly for public procurement. This is from Building Ladders of Opportunity, Reforming Construction Procurement. I think an event was held in the North East with Stephen last month. But basically we're looking there at designer-led solutions, which is pretty much traditional contract way forward. Contractor-led customized solutions, which is really a sort of PFI or framework route, which we understand is government preferred at the moment. And then the phase of standard solutions, which is really a standard developer taking the project forward with innovation for the architect and consultancy. BIM working group, you're probably familiar with the diagram on the right. That is starting to align the various sort of process models, various plans, government, OGC and so on. And you can see at the bottom there the green dots, which were at the time known rather prosaically as data drops. That has changed recently. On the left-hand side is Work Package 104, Report 7. And you can see there, outside the actual sort of plan of work section in purple, is the idea of the government becoming an intelligent client, and the feedback loop right the way around to procurement and consultant services. So this is just to give you an idea of what we were trying to do in based on some of the early work for the BIM overlay. So we have the plan of work there down the centre. On the right-hand side, we have Bill Gething's work. Bill did a lot of work on the green overlay, which was published earlier. And so on your left-hand side, we have the standard solutions, contractor-led and designer-led. And this was quite interesting because as we go through, we started to use the only standard we had at the time, which was AIA level details. And we started to put them in to try to understand what level of detail would be up to
Something wrong with the sound.
I'm sorry, can you hear?
We've lost the
Microphone's gone.
Oh,
Stop. Yeah, amplification stopped.
1, 2, testing, like works acquisitions.
Sing us a song.
Tell you a joke? No, I only know.
Good.
Sadly, I only know Jimmy Savile jokes at the moment. Especially with Christmas.
Are you just trying to help?
Okay, I've been informed technologically after shout. Can everyone hear me at the back? Just about. Right, okay. So just running through the final section there where we ended up with comments such as get on and build it. So we go back to the outline plan of work 2007, the final revision was November 2008. Basically you have stages A to L, left-hand side, description of the key tasks, performance of the plan, and OGC gateways on the right-hand side. And then in terms of looking at the plan itself, in comparison with the existing plan, first of all we've introduced a new stage 0, which is a strategic definition which goes back to the intelligent brief of the government. Developed design, which is really in the area of sort of federated models and so on. And the single design delivery stage, technical design. We've taken out tendering from the plan, and that will be, I'll explain later, that will be replaced by a procurement task file, which is flexible. And item 5, fabrication design, acknowledges subcontractor and fabrication design input. And all of that starts to align with the Construction Industry Council's current plan of work. So in terms of the outline plan of work, at the moment we have 11 stage A2L, taskbars and the ODC gateways. And the other, we really want to distinguish the new plan from the old, so we've gone from A2L to 0 to 7, and we've also gone into the new horizontal format. So we now have 8 stages, 0 being the intelligent brief, through to 7, taskbars below that, and ODC gateways, and what are now called information exchanges rather than data blocks. And we'll also be looking at incorporating visual soft landing zone into the stack. So, this is where we are at the moment. This is the template. So we have 8 stages, and core objectives and key support tasks are all fixed items on the plan. Movable items that can adapt to the procurement route, called the 3 Ps, are procurement, programming and planning. And then on top of that, we've got sustainability checkpoints and the ODC gateways for information exchanges, which are all switchable. So as you achieve that through the lifetime of the project, they can be ticked off. And just like I say a little bit, it's been a bit in the press, but we have actually been out to consultation with all our ideas and with various questions about the new plan. So take the central pie chart there. That's to do with should the RIBA plan try to align itself with other construction technologies. 84% said yes. The little diagram on the right there indicates that we have input from one-man bands. There's a lot of architects, one-man bands, 6 or 7 of them maybe, right the way through to the larger practices of 50+ people. So it's a good spread. So I suppose in summary, what we've got, the new plan introduces 8 stages, and it has 3 movable taskbars, which are procurement, programming and planning. It provides a flexible structure to support different integrated procurement approaches. It introduces the new stage 0 for pre-procurement activities in the planning cycle. It's BIM compatible. It also takes in the green overlay ideas for getting the team, and so it's therefore integrated sustainable design. The other thing we just talked to Steve about with our RIBA is that the idea is that the new plan will be electronic, hence the adaptability within the 3 Ps set. So we will be establishing a practice-specific plan. So you're bringing your practice information, you feed that in, and also project-specific. So, plan of work 2013. Sorry, that will be the practice-specific. See the various adjustments have been made, and project-specific. And we're usually going to go with this. The fee spread. Looking at how that might be charged out for the work stages. It's nothing standard or recommended at all. As usual, it's a matter of negotiation. It says looking around the group. So, to take the basic template we've got, the idea is we have an intelligent brief, we have design activities really at the top, and developing design information, procurement, programming and planning, project outputs and project outcomes, and then I suppose most importantly, return the loop, inform clients of their experience. What we're doing at the moment, while we're doing this, this is a sort of diagram scoping out what's needed to support the plan. So for instance, the red boxes there, project program, project manual, LODs need to be produced. Certain things need to be edited in line with the new BIM environment, such as the architecture document. And that's what we're working on at the moment. So all that work's going on behind the scenes, ready for spring next year. So that's the sort of bit about where we're up to on the plan of work. We will invite questions when I've got through this, but I just sort of thought it might be an idea to start to talk about the roundtable discussions. We're going to be looking at 2: concept design, development design, technical design, and fabrication design. So a few ideas in those areas. If we take concept design, the plan asks for an early sustainability strategy, but we might also be doing this sort of work. This is an office block we were looking at, basically comparing an atrium with a light well, and by using eco very, very early on, we established the light well provided about 20% better time of daylight. Again, concept design, just the power of the 3D model in terms of easy adjustments and area takeoffs and quick initial cost right, going to 5D at very early stages. Laser scanning, this is a project we did which was really R&D based. It's a grade 2 stylistic building. We brought tower surveys in, they practiced with this. We scanned the building inside and out. And I think laser scanning is something right from the inception is so useful. You're doing a refurbishment and the contractor goes in and strips out, you've got your planning permission and strips out, and you've got to complete a different project. If you stand the laser scanner in there for 10 minutes, you can update the model very, very easily. And also, to a large extent, when we think about FM, it would be really useful to record existing buildings. So I get a microphone. The interesting thing about this project as well was trying to look at interoperability. So the client was very keen that we had a public interface, so we could create this website, which actually has sort of interactive modes in there. It's almost like playing a game. So if you go to the top one, which is the DLA Media, go.uk/ecology, that actually you play around on. Again, concept design. This is a giggle, but it's just using data intelligently. This is tying an Excel spreadsheet from the Arbor Cultural Survey to the top page, creating Robo 3, which is in the middle there, which has parametric canopy, trunk, and protection zones. And that then allows us to put that into the model. So not only are we using ground topo software, we know that the trees are accurate. So that's really, a lot of these things are planning issues, so that's really good news for English Heritage or the local authority conservation officer. Thank you. To wander around and have accurate views. The other thing with something like this is because it's a phased master plan, phase 2 might happen in 5 or 10 years' time. So we can update very, very quickly the trees, and we know they're going to be accurate. And the other interesting thing I was talking about the other day, if there are any ash trees in there, we could probably highlight them and bring them up in red or burnt brown or something. So develop design. Really we're starting to look at federated models here. So this is a project for Arla, the new Arla Dairy in Aylesbury, where we did actually manage to have full coordinated design in terms of architectural, structural and MEP models. It was particularly useful again in planning. It's a large building, it was sited in the middle of Aylesbury Vale, area of outstanding natural beauty. So we spent a lot of time fiddling around with the colour cladding strategy with the planners. Of course, the model just allows that to be updated so quickly. Again, in developed design, this was a very lonely BIM project from about 2006, where we actually built the M&E from their drawings and the structure from their drawings. And you can see there a heavily serviced central section with chill beams coming off to either side, which are the main office areas. But this actually allowed us to progress through the OGC gateways at the time. This one takes us right the way through, get out and finish. And I think most of that should be happening at stage 3. We start to look at technical design. This is really where we should be bringing program and cost should really be aligned. This is a school project under the Richmond framework, where we work very closely with the contractor in tying together the construction sequencing with the program. It's quite interesting. You'll notice top right there, the structure of the roof seems to be in the wrong place, but there you go. That's the purpose after all. Again, in technical design, this is the same school. Excuse me, and we've brought in Navisworks here for clash detection, some areas of takeoff, and so on. And we're really working very closely with the contractor, to some extent helping mentor them in what Navisworks can do over the period until handover when they start on site. Technical design again, we should be bringing in 4, stage 5 maybe, steel fabricators models, complete with connections detailed properly. On the same project, perhaps where we're acknowledging fabrication design, the M&E subcontracted model being brought in. And again in 5, this was quite an interesting project. This is Clapham 1, which has been in the press a little bit. It was designed by an executive architect, and we picked the scheme up as novated to the main contractor. It's just a little bit about the wobbly column you see there on the left. The CAD drawings we had didn't actually work. They did clash with the curtain walling behind them. And oh, by the way, lads, the structure's actually in place as well, as we speak. We'll see it here as we go into the model. You can see where the column from the CAD actually clashed with the curtain walling. Never mind the fact we should have been opening lights at the top there. So we faffed around with it, looked at the data points, and eventually came up with a column like that, which we knew would work, and took that forward into creating a mesh object that could then be directly sent to the fabricator, who made it up in high density polystyrene, actually, that was eventually rendered. So the end result is here, which is what you see on the scaffolding there. Those very impressed chaps below, thinking, oh, BIM's good, isn't it? And that's the finished result, which was rendered. So there was a public artist involved, so that funny shape is actually the wired library, which we put very close to the column to try and give it some sort of protection from danger. And just one final thought for everyone that I usually have on the end of my slides. Garbage in, garbage out. I'll just leave you there with that's a glossary of the plan, which might be useful to have on screen. Okay.
Okay, we've got 2 or 3 minutes into the round table, so I'd like to maybe invite questions from the floor if anyone's got a question for John. Right. Yeah.
Go on then, I'll start it on. John, just you showed a slide with the fee breakdown. How much has that been aligned to the fact that we're tending now to work more for main contractors? where a lot of, if you like, the fee needs to be more upfront in the design process to allow for that prefab element that's going on so much now?
Not a lot, I don't think, at this stage. I mean, I do agree that all consultants will be putting a bigger work effort in earlier. It's the old idea of cost over value in terms of design. We are working earlier as consultants, and I think eventually that will be recognised. But yeah, I mean, I did say all fees are a matter for negotiation. We have some clients who recognise what we're doing early on and will pay for that. Others won't. So there is an element of risk, as always.
Is there one more question? Maybe I've got one, John. If you look at architecture, you can range from doing a kitchen extension all the way up to work for a main contractor on a secondary school.
Yeah.
You talked about the procurement being variable to serve both needs. Can you say a little bit more about that, please?
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting when after we'd finished the BIM overlay internally in the RIBA, because 90% of the profession do work as one-man bands or maybe half a dozen in a small practice, and we brought a couple of people from the small practice group on to the team in terms of looking at where the plan of work will go, and they brought some really good feedback, and the idea of the 3 Ps being adaptable is interesting, because if they are talking to a private client, the client wants to know when and where they're going to have to spend their money and the tendering process, and that can actually be built in with no problem. So it may be that some of the smaller practices will actually take the template, go to the practice plan and create their own plan of work, which they may use 50 times over. And so that's the adaptability through making an electronic plan that we hope will work.
Thank you very much. Okay, we're now going to split into 4 different roundtable sessions. So we've got table 1 in the far left, table 2, table 3, and table 4. And we've got the table discussing concept design in the far corner, then developed, then technical design, and then specialist design. So we can please make our way to the tables. Just a little word off Rob, I think, who's chairing one of the round tables.